How you doing, guys? Welcome back to the Poise Showcase series, and today we're going to be taking a look at the majestic, big, black Cathedral Knight Greatsword. Now let's go straight into the status page here, guys. We're at soul level 125 as usual, using the Prisoner's Chain. So we've got 40 Vigor, 14 Attunement, 37 Endurance, 33 Vitality, 26 Strength, 12 Dexterity, 30 Intelligence, and 30 Faith. Now two-handed with a Dark Infusion, and these stats, the Cathedral Knight Ultra Greatsword gets 669 AR, so not too shabby at all. Now over to the equipment page, the Cathedral Greatsword here at plus 10 with the Dark Infusion will help us create a little bit of pressure on those meta shield setups so they can't rely on turtling 100% of the time. On top of that, in my second right hand slot I have a Dark Longsword plus 10. So that's also going to help us chip through those meta shield setups, and it's also a great switch out to help finish people off when they're trying to bait out the timer in the arena, as it's pretty hard to chase someone down with an Ultra Greatsword. On top of that, it's a good little counter against those quick step users, just to switch out to the straight sword there and spam away. Now obviously there is a way to counter that using quick step, but I've never encountered anyone in all my playtime that can escape straight sword spam using quick step, so it's a good counter in my opinion. Now in the second left hand slots I have a Blessed Cestus plus 10. I've got a light crossbow plus 10 with exploding bolts and also splintering bolts, and I've also included a canvas talisman plus 10 here just to start the match with Tears of Denial. Now Tears of Denial here is basically just going to help us get one more trade out to win our matches there, guys. Now in terms of armor here, I've got the Black Iron Helm, the Winged Knight Armor, Cathedral Knight Gauntlets, and the Lothric Knight Leggings. Now our total armor poise here is 42.24, and this basically means that with the Cathedral Knight Ultra Greatsword, when we two-hand it, we can infinitely hyper armor trade against every two-handed R1 up to and including greatswords and also regular hammers, and we can tank one two-handed R1 from other Ultra Greatswords, Great Axes, and also Great Hammers. But in saying that, I wouldn't be challenging those Ultra weapons at all with this poise level, unless those people or your opponents are wearing light armor, because if they can actually tank that opening hit from you, the second swing will poise break you, so keep that in mind. If your opponents are wearing very light armor with their Ultra weapons, then the trade will be beneficial, as you can poise break them after the first swing or at the first swing, but other than that, it's better to just switch out to the longsword and the crossbow and hit them outside of active frames or bait out those backstabs. Now in terms of rings, usual setup here, Havel's plus 3, Prisoner's Chain, Chlorantha Ring plus 3, and the Ring of Favour plus 3 to round out the build here. We're just below 70% weight ratio, so we're not fat rolling. So that's a build here, guys. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Let's go take this bad boy into the arena. Alrighty guys, so in this first round I'm going up against an Immolation and Tinder Mage. Now from the outset with these Ultra weapons, in my opinion, it's all about baiting those hyper armor trades. Now you'll notice here I used most of the opening of this match to just scope out my opponent's playstyle, while getting in a few attacks there and just sizing him up a little bit. Now with Ultra Greatsword gameplay, guys, it's never a good idea to overcommit, obviously, because you can be whiff punished very easily. So you never want to go for more than one attack at a time unless you know you're going to hit your opponent. Otherwise that second and third swing is easy whiff punishes for your opponent, especially when they're using faster weapons such as curved swords or straight swords. So instead you want to be scoping your opponent out and looking for an opportunity to get them in a hyper armor trade, like now. See there, the R1 into the R2 is massive damage, 901, and it's enough to get him down to a third of his life. And good game. Alrighty guys, next match. So in this match here I'm going up against a Dark Mage, it looks like. He's also got Marvelous, that pick there in the left hand, which is interesting. So very passive gameplay, and it's a good thing to pack a crossbow here just to be able to punish the passivity there on that mage, while also having the ability to roll out from the affinity, which isn't too hard. Now I included this clip here just to highlight one thing, guys. Do not go blocking Ultra Greatsword attacks with a medium shield. It is not a good idea. And that's why. Okay guys, now third match of this particular video here, I decided to have a fun little scrap against Dr. Gilbert, our resident Pontiff Knight Curvesword user. just to have a little bit of fun here, testing the Ultra Greatsword against obviously a superior setup. Now I started with a little bit of less health here because I ran out of Estus quite close to having, but we decided to scrap anyway for fun. And now I went there for a hyper armor trade with the second R1 of the Cathedral Knight Ultra Greatsword, but it wasn't a favourable trade. As you can see, I took a lot of damage there. But normally how I like to approach these fights is doing just that, baiting those hyper armor trades, and I did miss that riposte there, that hurt my soul, but what do you do? Eat that running attack instead. And again, for me, it's a refocus here on my neutral space and baiting out those hyper armor trades so I can get out that big damage. It's all about anticipating that running attack, just like there, to get out a hyper armor trade. And I only need one more now to close the match. So never overcommit. Don't commit your opponent, but even then, your opponent does have the opportunity to roll out like Doom did there, so you have to be very careful, especially with your stamina as well, and that's why I run very high stamina on this build, because I want to have the full ability to get out a lot of combos while also having enough to roll out if I need to. I mean, the last thing you want is to get caught in negative stamina with an Ultra Greatsword. Looking for that R1, R2 bait, and there it is. Great game, dude. Alrighty guys, next match. And in this match I'm going up against a straight sword and buckler, or parrying shield I think. Now I'm going to take this opportunity to elaborate on what I was speaking about in the previous round, which was about high endurance on your ultra builds. Now in my opinion, when you are running an ultra, I think it's a very good idea to have that high endurance, mainly because even if you are playing very passively with an Ultra Greatsword, if you get caught in an R1 chain by a fast weapon, it is all over. If you do not have that stamina to be able to roll out, it's very difficult to reassert your neutral control, as you are just so damn slow. It takes a while to get into that hyper armor, and a good player can capitalize on that. So I like having very high endurance on these particular builds for that sole reason. Not only to get out my combos and also to bait effectively in chains, but also to have the ability to roll out when I need to and avoiding that negative stamina zone. Now I'm a big fan of the R1 into R2 hyper armor combo, but the R1 is just as effective, and it's a good idea to mix those up against your opponent so that they get used to your attack. Now, I just have a hyper armor trade. I should have gone for 2 to finish it off, but I decided to use this actually here and practice my free-aiming crossbow skills. And crossbows are excellent offhand utility, guys. You really need to practice using them because they complement an ultra weapon greatly. Good game. Alrighty guys, so I've moved to the Pontiff arena for this particular fight against the Morale here, just to show off the R1, R2 hyper armor combo. Now I've done extensive testing with this particular combo, and unfortunately it is not a true combo. It has about the same success rate as a regular R1 hyper armor trade, but does so much more damage. So it's quite effective to have that mix up between the R1 and the R1 R2 to keep your opponent on their toes, and also to get that big damage. And the second R1 coming off the vertical Ultra Greatsword is also great, as the first R1 can be used as a bait to get that hyper armor trade, and good game. And straight on to the next match. Now in this particular fight here, I come up against a Storm Curve Sword and a Black Knight Shield. Now the Storm Curve Sword obviously isn't as good as a Pontiff Knife Curve Sword, but it is still a Curve Sword, which means it's going to be a very difficult fight. And it's about, in my opinion, it really comes down to hyper armor trade baiting. If you can get your opponent to running attack into hyper armor, or to fall for a hyper armor bait, you can usually get out that combo that will take off 2/3 of their life bar. But it is just very difficult to do that against an opponent who is very effective with their hit and run tactics, like Outlawyer here, capitalizing on the fast running attacks of that curve sword to be able to roll out as well just before my hyper armor kicks in. So it makes for a very difficult fight, and a lot of practice in my opinion with an ultra weapon to be able to come out on top. Watch out for that backstab as well. Very easy to punish ultra weapons with backstabs, and that's why again I have to say it is not a good idea to get off multiple swings. You see, I went in for that second R1 there and got punished for it with a backstab. Managed to avoid that wake up. I went for the rolling R1 there because I was in point blank and I thought my opponent wouldn't roll there. So I thought I would be able to clip him, but unfortunately I don't, and our lawyer here has a very strong HP advantage. Again, that running attack, very quick, lightning fast. It's very difficult to time those high jump trades for it. Just got to be very careful here to not overdo it. Don't overcommit, otherwise you're going to get whiff punished very easily. So I stick to baits now. Just baits. One attack, no more than one. Just to see if I can force my opponent to make a mistake. There it is. I went for the double R1 then instead of the R1, R2 because it's a little bit quicker. And look at that, it's already 2/3 of his life bar. We're pretty much almost the same, and I do have a trading advantage here because of Tears of Denial. So it really is just looking for that final fiber armor trade. Very difficult to do against the curved sword, guys, but not impossible. Watch out for that backstab, and there it is. Good game. Alrighty guys, next match. And the only reason I included this video here is for my viewers who tend to comment that I never let off a parry and that I never do parries and stuff like that. And you know, I've only done parries very rarely because you know I don't think they're very effective in high level play. But here you go guys, this one is for you. Now unfortunately this block here disconnects. What a pussy, so moving on. Next up in the arena. Now the reason I've included this match here guys is just to show off some offhand versatility with my sidearms here. Now it's a good thing to always have some good offhand versatility with ultras. It's never a good idea to have an ultra on its own because you're going to come across some very bad matchups. And as you can imagine, trying to chase this guy down here with a bow using an ultra would be practically impossible. So I've switched out to my straight sword and crossbow to not only hit him with the crossbow but also go for those fast running attacks with the straight sword. Now I really do think you need some offhand versatility with ultra weapons, so it's a good idea to always include some sidearms like straight swords and crossbows to complement your ultra build when you run into matches such as this or when you're doing stuff like quick step. And good game. And next match. So in this match here I decided to include it to showcase what not to do and what to do against Perseverance. Now my opponent here was using the Black Knight Greatsword, which I didn't realize at the time. I thought it was like a claymore or something because you know I'm an idiot. But anyways, I get to showcase here what not to do first against Perseverance. So basically, never swing more than once against the Perseverance. Otherwise you'll get caught in that blender. As you see here, I hit with the R1 and go with the R2 and get absolutely punished. So instead, the way to go for it against Perseverance is just to hit them and roll away. So just one hit and roll away. Now I managed to get a very sweet R1, R2 combo there, so my opponent is only one combo away from death. And as you can see there, just one swing and a rollout and you can avoid that Perseverance spam, guys. And final match of the video here today guys, I decided to include this one because it was a clean, big weapon fight showcase. Now I do mention at the start of the video that because of our poise level, it's not a good idea to go trading against other ultra weapons. But in this case, you know, if your opponent isn't armor poise optimized or if they're one-handing their ultra weapon, then it's a good idea to trade. Mainly because if your opponent is one-handing their ultra weapon like my opponent is here, they are going to be doing a lot less poise damage, so it's likely that you'll be able to tank it and get your swings out instead and poise break your opponent. Now as you can see, my opponent is one-handed. I was able to get in that swing, poise break him, but I missed that R2. Now he switches to the two-handed moveset. He managed to hit it once to avoid the weapon art, which is very slow. And again he switches to that one-handed moveset. It's a big mistake because of pressure and victory. Good game. Alrighty guys, so that brings us to the end of this particular video, taking a look at the Cathedral Knight Ultra Greatsword. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, hit that like button. If you're enjoying my content, please subscribe. And as always guys, thank you for watching. Until next time.